Hello everyone and welcome. Andy Bryan here from the Soul Pathway, and today within this video I wanted to share with you my story of love, actually, of growth and development, and really embracing my true self and soul pathway when it came to love and connection, and really connecting with the love of who I am and allowing that to be projected outwardly to the world. Because you could say I've got somewhat of a story that I've been holding to myself for many years, you could say. And I've been fearful about sharing it for judgment placed upon me. So please hold back any judgment until you watch towards the end of the video, because this is a story that is quite personal to my heart and one that I wanted to share with you all today. So my journey started many years ago, as I'm sure yours did too. I met what I believed was the love of my life at university. It was an absolutely beautiful connection. I felt her in my heart and I felt her in my soul. I truly loved the woman, and we spent just under a few years together, and it was a beautiful time, and yet challenging at the same time, because during that time at university I was very hard-working, studious, you could say. Well, I tried to work as hard as I could, but it was physically and emotionally stressful during that time, and that took a hit on the relationship as well, I could say. But at the end of my second year of university we split up. And this was really the downfall of me, you could say. It really, truly broke my heart into pieces. When they say that your heart can, break into a million pieces, you never really know until you lose the love of your life, do you really? But that's what happened to me, and I'm sure that happens to each and every one of us as we go about our journey of love. We break apart. We don't know what we're doing, we don't know where we're going, and it's incredibly challenging. So I lost the love of my life. It was incredibly painful, as I've said, and it broke me into two. As it was my second year of university, I had the opportunity to move over to Dublin for a year and work, which was the opportunity of a lifetime. I got to work in one of the largest organisations in the world and one of the most respected businesses in my field as well, which was incredible. But the first few days of being over there was just after I broke up from my girlfriend at the time, and I was so completely numb. Didn't know whether I was coming, didn't know where I was going. And I remember going out for one of my first nights, with all of my colleagues, and it was all expenses paid. You could drink all you want. And so that's exactly what I did. I drank all that I could that night, and I had fun. It was good fun, but it wasn't fun in many ways, because for me it was a place of numbing my pain, really pushing that pain to one side and saying, look, I can't handle this anymore. This is what I'm going to use as a coping mechanism in order for me to, dull that pain and completely remove it from my life. There was so much pain that come up through that. And what was amazing was that I found my way home after a night out in Dublin, which was one of my first few nights out. So I was safe, which was good, but I realised that there was a coping mechanism that I used around love, which at that time was alcohol. And as I moved, further into my life, I turned to other things to fulfill my love or heartache. But during that third year at university, or while I was in Dublin, a friend shared something with me that could help me relieve my pain, relieve my hurt, so that I could find the love of my life, you could say. and he turned me to neurolinguistic programming. And I first, came across, Richard Bandler and John Grinder. I think it was Frogs into Princes by Richard Bandler, and it was a phenomenal book. But I learned about neurolinguistic programming and how I could use it to build my self-confidence and self-esteem. And actually, when I returned back from university, I actually connected with Paul McKenna's Instant Confidence hypnosis CD, which was beautiful. It's fantastic. It really helped bring my confidence out. But there was still a lot of pain and hurt inside that I was holding within. And once I returned back to university for that final year, my girlfriend at the time my previous girlfriend was still studying, and I could still feel her in my heart and my soul, and which was incredibly challenging at times. All I wanted to do was disconnect from her and not see her in those moments. But my friend shared with me neurolinguistic programming, which was a godsend really, because it put me on the path that I do today. But it wasn't all, beautiful sailing, you could say. You could say it's not beautiful sailing now in many ways. But I turned to neurolinguistic programming to learn about pickup. And pickup is all about learning how to pick up women. And I know many of you watching this will think, wow, Andy, I never realised you even did something like that. That's terrible, that's shocking. And I'll tell you my reasons for going into it in the first place anyway, because that's quite important. Again, it was always to find the love of my life, find that person that I could really connect with on a soul level. And I realised throughout my whole journey, since I've started my spiritual life on this physical journey that we live in today, that I was always searching for that soul connection that would enliven my heart. But I turned to pickup to find that. So I'd go out at night looking to find and pick up women, which was a journey within itself. I learned how to really connect with women. But I still found myself as being completely terrible at it, if I'm honest. But there is a lot of truth to that industry very much being filled with people that just want to go out, meet women, and mistreat them. And that's not something that I do. That's not something I ever had within my heart to do. All I ever wanted to do was connect with, the love of my life and build a solid relationship from that. But the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I've held a lot of judgment around that for many years. Because if I was to say that I'd learned pickup to meet women, to influence women and persuade women, you could say that was who I am, but in many ways it wasn't who I am. It was part of my journey of building my self-confidence and self-esteem so that I could learn how to communicate and treat women. And one of my biggest learnings there, I would say, was more so that I learned how to truly love and respect women for who they were. Not that I didn't know that before, but I'd learned from a feminine's perspective, because we don't look at it from just a man's perspective. Through pickup, what we learn to do is we would learn, to see through the eyes of women, which I think is incredibly, incredibly important, because we need to learn to love and honour one another when it comes to relationship. When I love a woman, I want to know that I can give her the love that I can give, as well as learn how to give it to myself. But I learned a lot through that time, and I saw a lot of things that I wasn't happy with myself, so I didn't associate with certain people that would go out to just meet women, to sleep with women, to learn how to influence and persuade women to get them into bed. It was just sleazy. It was just the wrong type of vibe, and that wasn't what I was about, and it's not who I am in any way, shape or form. And you could say the other reason why I'm sharing this story with you today is because what I learned from this is that from my journey so far in terms of connecting with my spirituality and who I am, I've come to a place on my journey where I believe that if you're connecting with this video and you know who I am as an individual, then you'll know that I come from a place of pure heartedness, a pure soul. And I come from a place of love. And that for me is the most important thing. And another reason why I'm sharing this with you today is because love and heartbreak is inevitable. We will go through it in life. If any of you go through life without experiencing any, love without heartbreak, then I want to know who you are and connect with you, because I think we've all been through it. But also, I'm sharing this video today to share with you the reason, that I've been through my own darkness when it comes to love. I've had my own shame. I've held my own guilt. Not that I should be guilty for doing anything that I did when I went through my journey of pickup. But I wasn't happy with the way that I was just, being put in this group of people that would go out and do those things. Because that's not what it's all about. There's a big part of that industry which is about helping you to build your self-confidence, self-esteem, in order for you to love yourself at a deeper level and find that love of your life. But there is that other side where men will go into the industry in order to pick up and influence women, which is absolutely disgraceful in my eyes. Not good at all. But what were my biggest learnings here? My biggest learnings were that, one, I always knew that I wasn't good with women. But two, was that I learned how to honour my heart and who I was. I learned how to be true and right with myself, even when going through the deeper, darker challenges. We all know it's not easy. I've learned as I've reflected upon my past and reflected upon that part of my journey that it was dark, it was difficult, it was challenging, but it was a part of me. It's part of my journey to love. And with my work I talk about the ego, the self and the shadow to connect with your soul as an individual. Now we all have a past that may be not as rosy as we think it is, or we all have a journey that we may hide from others for fear of judgment, for fear of other people placing their judgments upon to us, even without knowing and understanding the experiences and lessons that we've gone through. But through understanding your journey and looking at your shadow, your pain, your regret, your guilt, and any negative emotions that you hold from your past, it's essential to learn where those things are coming from so that you can release and let go, but in a way that you can be free and fly like a bird, and really to embrace who you are at a deeper core level. And when you look upon this, I think at the same time it's good to look upon your coping mechanisms, because coping mechanisms are something that we each have to learn to deal with. And coping mechanisms can come in many shape or form. Again, this is why I judge nobody, and this is why I believe I went through part of my journey myself, because alcohol was my coping mechanism at times. I turned to it to numb my pain, fill that void in some ways that, needed to be filled. Other people can turn to drugs and other forms of self-harm, which we know that self-harm only comes from a place of lack of self-worth and a lack of knowing and acknowledging yourself. So once we can acknowledge and recognise those coping mechanisms, we can then step into a place of building new patterns that serve who we are as an individual, so that we can love and appreciate ourselves. Because in those moments of pain, what we tend to do is turn to those coping mechanisms, delve into the darkness, and fear the journey itself. The fear of even being alive. Because that pain is just overbearing and too much. But I know we all have lessons and learnings in love. And I'm sure you've had your own pains to connect with. I realised through my own journey, I very much suppressed part of my masculine energy because I didn't like that aspect of myself. When I look back at myself as a child, I felt that I was slightly aggressive as a child. I didn't think I was heard or seen in many ways. And so I pushed that away, I suppressed that. And I became, in many ways, a sensitive man, connected with my inner feminine, which was both beautiful and blissful, but at the same time, I lost myself in that feminine energy. So again, connecting with women can be sometimes afraid of that feminine energy because they find it difficult to see that in a man, because how can a man possess such love? But the truth is, within that, I had to learn to honour the shadow within myself with regards to my past. So reflecting upon that over the past couple of years and bringing into balance my masculine and feminine energy, I had to learn to bring that masculine out in a healthy way. So instead of acting with somewhat of aggression or anger, I was coming from a place of assertion of this is who I am. This is what I stand for and what I believe. And when you come from that place, from a place of what I believe is the divine masculine, and you honour the inner feminine within yourself as well, you can come from a place of assertion and love at the same time. Because you say, this is who I am, this is what I stand for. But at the same time, I honour and love you for what you stand for, because I appreciate you. And that's bringing the masculine and feminine into play. For me, this is what love is all about as well. Learning how to balance the masculine and feminine within. So my journey has brought me a long way. A long, long way. And I'm not ever going to reject my past anymore. I'm not ever going to judge myself for who I am for my previous actions. Not that it was any bad actions towards what I did anyway. But I didn't like to have any negative connotations around the fact that I was meeting to try and influence and persuade women to, connect with me and embrace with me, because that's not who I am as an individual. But as I step into that, I learn to realise what it is that I truly love to do now. And this is connect with people from the heart, from the soul, and learn to love from that place. And for me, that's not placing any conditions on love at all. or conditions on anything with that respect, because I talk about conditioning all the time, but we can think about conditioning that we place around love as a whole. And when we place the conditioning on that, we place the judgment on ourselves, and then we place the judgment on others. And, we don't learn to honour and love ourselves within the process, which I think is essential. But I wanted to share this story with you today, because I want for you to realise that your journey is your journey. And what I want you to do is love yourself within your journey. Love your past. Don't place any judgment on who you once were, or the actions at which you take at times, because that only places judgment on yourself. And we can't judge ourselves for who we are. We can only allow ourselves to become better human beings each and every day. And for me, my soul pathway work is all about helping you connect and embrace your heart and your soul, to do what it is that you love and live from that place. Because the truth is, that is when we live the sacred path. We connect with each and everything, and we learn to love and honour everyone on our journey, whether that be our spouses, our partners, our family, our friends. Each and every one that we meet on our journey allows us to connect with ourselves and a reflection to us. So I hope you've connected with my journey as you've connected with me. I hope this has allowed you to see me for who I am. And I want you to leave you with the fact that I want you to honour and love yourself, and don't place any judgment on your past. With that, I will say bye for now.